What color are the lights in Wanda's house? I don't know, but you turn them on with the Scarlet Switch. Coming up in this Comic Book Editions Volume 123 video today, I'm going to show you the comic book I was inspired to buy from watching Metarog's channel. All of that and some fun back issues that I've recently added into my collection are on the way. But before we do anything, it's picture time! Oh, I love picture time. Each one of those photos just made my day when they came in. If you purchased Female Force Loretta Lynn and haven't sent me a photo of yourself with the book, I hope that's something that you'll do. Not only do I want to be able to continue sharing those on my channel, but I also want to make a little scrapbook of some of the photos that I've received as well. Thank you to the comic book community for all of your support that you've shown me. You've just blown my mind, especially the folks that say, you know, I'm not so much a big country music fan, but I wanted to get this book to show support to you, Ryan. Just means the world to me. What I'm also especially grateful for was the invite this past weekend for the C3 Comics Curing Cancer event. And I'd like to thank Scott, Hoarder's Hide, who had the high bid on one of the Chromium Female Force Loretta Lynn comic books, and it was the very first one that I've ever signed of any of the books in Female Force. And Scott's got that copy as he helps this wonderful cause. Big shout out to Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics for all of the work that he put together in organizing it this year and raising so much funds. It was amazing to see the final total and the tally and all of that hard work coming together. And thank you to everyone that made a bid. Thank you to everyone that donated. Thank you to everyone that purchased not only my book, but the ones that were donated from 221 Comics, where I work at, but any book on any show, because every bid made it another dollar that went for this wonderful cause, so we can kick cancer right in the... And thank you to Burke Family 54 Comics. I was on his portion of the C3 Comics Curing Cancer event. So thank you, Burke, for the invite and having me on. I do appreciate it. So before we start looking at some comic books, I quickly would like to also salute some folks that are recent and new subscribers to my channel. Philtastics Comics and Art, Sean Heath, Crystal Anderson, David Penn. Thank you for being new and recent subscribers to my channel. I hope that you'll check out their channels as well and subscribe to them, help grow this community, and not miss out on the content that they're producing. It felt like I had been in the 630s subscriber-wise for quite some time, but thanks to these new and recent subscribers, I'm in the 640s now. Watch out, 650. Here I come. So you're saying, Ryan, when am I going to see some comic books already? You're going to see some comic books now. Some new and recent additions into my collection start with Avengers Volume 1, issue number 151. This is a pretty low-grade copy, and I'm going to upgrade it at some time in the future, but it falls under the heading that you've heard so many say, better low-grade than no-grade. I've been a fan of the Avengers issues where the roster, their lineup changes. I'm always seem to be drawn to them. I always think that those are really fun issues, and this is one that falls under that category too. We see the departure of some Avengers, and then we see the new team all lined up. But really, this book is known for its big cliffhanger ending, which is the return of WonderMan. WonderMan? WonderMan. Yeah, Simon Williams. This is his first appearance since his apparent death, said in quotation marks. And very good cliffhanger at the end, and a story I liked. So that's Avengers 151. Let's fast forward 10 issues for the next one that I have to show you, Avengers 161. Now this is the second copy that I have of this book. My original 161 that I bought just a few years back as a back issue, I didn't realize I had so much damage right down in this lower part of the cover. And I knew I wanted to upgrade this, and to be honest with you, I'm going to need to upgrade this copy too. I knew it was low grade when I bought it. It was a slight step up from what I had, but not much. And eventually I'll find a 161 that falls in the condition that I'm happy with, and then I'll find new homes for these two copies of 161 that I have that are lower grade. I can't resist this cover. This cover is so good. I can look at this all the time. I love it. Now, speaking of WonderMan, you see on this cover here, this costume that he's wearing. He didn't wear this one very long, but this is the first issue that he debuts this costume in. Oddly enough, the costume was given to him by Beast. Now, Beast has never shown, or even since this issue, shown an interest in costumes or designing them for himself or someone else. You would think it would have been the Wasp that would have given him the new costume. That would have made more sense. But it wasn't. But speaking of Wasp, in this issue, the costume that she wears, because you know she's so well known for wearing different uniforms and costumes, but the one that she wears in this issue is the one and only. It's just a one-off. She never has worn that costume since. So in the future, in the comic book editions video, you'll probably see upgrades for that 151 and this 161. More Marvel that I want to show you from that sweet Bronze Era age that I love so much. Now this was awesome for me to pick up. Marvel Team Up with Spider-Man and Doctor Doom. This is Volume 1, issue number 43. So there's a 4-part story. 41 had Scarlet Witch in it. And I've had that. I bought that as a young childhood collector, as a back issue, as a young childhood collector. And I think I've even upgraded my copy of that. 42 has the Vision in it in a continuing story. Then there's 43 with Doctor Doom. And then there's 44 with Moondragon. And all of these lead into, you know, a 4-issue story arc. Now I have completed this and I have all of them. I've read all of these out of order so much, but I'm still able to piece all of them together and what's going on. I had a chance to buy a 43, a couple of years ago too. And I didn't know, or I had forgotten, I should say at that time, that the story all continued together. You know, I had the 41 and the 42, and I guess I hadn't read them in so long at that point. I had forgotten that it continued into 43. So, and then I bought a 44, because I saw Vision and Scarlet Witch and Doom actually on the cover. And I thought, oh, that's a good cover. I'm going to buy that. And then I realized you're missing a puzzle piece. So that puzzle piece has finally been filled in, and I had the entire story arc. I'm just the type, I know some people, you know, won't read their books until they have the entire story arc collected together. I guess it goes back to me being a childhood collector, and sometimes you couldn't get all the pieces. So I would just read and reread and enjoy the parts that I could get. And a lot of times in these books especially, they recap for you what had happened. So I was able to piece in and figure out, you know, where we're at with the story. But now that I have all the pieces, I probably should sit down and just reread it all together now in the proper order that it was meant to be read. So that was 43. We fast forward 10 issues to Marvel Team Up 53. So apparently this is the first time John Byrne drew X-Men. No even X-Men on the cover. I don't even think there's a mention here of X-Men being on the cover, but they're in almost half of the book. And, you know, for a long time, and I even think in an early comic book editions video, I mistakenly said, because I was told that a different book was the first time that John Byrne drew X-Men at all. And it wasn't an X-Men book. I want to say it was Iron Fist. I think it was an Iron Fist book. Pretty sure. But apparently this is the first time. So we've got that all straightened out now. X-Men do make an appearance here with Spidey. It's kind of odd because they're like in Arizona and they're heading back east. And Spider-Man notices this problem, and the X-Men are essentially like, well, we're going back home, so, you know, have fun taking care of that. Banshee takes Spider-Man down. And then even Banshee kind of realizes that there's trouble or a problem, you know, which is going to lead into the conflict of the story. But he's kind of like, well, there you go, Spidey. I got to catch up to the rest of the X-Men in the jet. Otherwise, they're going to get home before me and they won't save any food for me. That was just kind of That was a little odd, and I don't know. It just felt odd and out of character for the X-Men. But and one of the X-Men in here is Phoenix, and I love my Jean Grey Phoenix. Love her a lot. But this is a good story. Spidey and the Hulk is the main team up in the story. And as a childhood collector, I had the issue after this, because this is a two-parter, I believe. I had 54, but I've never had 53, and it's one that I've always wanted. This book probably would have gone on the 2023 goal list, top 12 goal list, had I not already been able to snag that up early. So there's one that doesn't have to go on the goal list because it's completed. Staying with the Marvel Team Up, an anniversary issue. It's issue number 100. How about that? Oversized issue. It's bigger than a normal issue. There's actually two stories in here. We have a really good Spider-Man Fantastic Four team up, as the main part of the story is depicted here on the cover. But in the back, there is a secondary, smaller story, and it's a team up between Storm, Aurora of the X-Men, and T'Challa, Black Panther. So Storm and Black Panther. Really good backup feature as well. And this is another book I've been eyeing for a while too, and happy to have been able to finally say that it's in my collection now. An enjoyable read for sure too. So those are the Marvel books that I've recently added into my collection. I got a couple DC I want to show you before we wrap up. So I mentioned that there was a book that I was inspired to get by watching Metarog's channel. And it's a big treasury size book. Look at that. It's a limited collector's edition C49. Big Legion of Superheroes. So if you've been watching Metarog's channel, in the back, Roger, has some books on his wall, and high up on the top shelf behind him, he's had a copy of this book. And I always try to watch everything that Metarog releases. And so I've been looking at this book in the background for a while now, and I'm like, oh, that is such a good cover. That's such an amazing cover. And I love the treasury books anyway. I kind of feel, as I've said before, that when they present these stories in this big oversized format, that it feels more like an event than just a regular comic book or story. And I love the bigger pages and stuff too. So Roger, you were 100% my inspiration when I saw this in the wild and picked it up and said, oh, there's the book that Roger has. I'm like, yeah, I want that. I need to have this for my collection. And now I do. Haven't read this one yet, but I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. So thanks, Roger. Make sure to subscribe to Metarog and his channel if you aren't already. I mean, I'm assuming you are, but I mean, my gosh, if you're not, you are truly missing out. One more DC book that I want to share today, and I left this out of the bag and board on purpose. This is Comic Reader, issue number 209. So Roger Metarog actually, a while ago on his channel, did a whole video about comic readers. And I've talked about comic readers and did a comic reader haul previously on my channel as well. What I love most about comic readers is the artwork. Most of the artwork that was shown on the front, and they also did artwork on the back cover, was original, and it was done by the professional artists. And most of the time you never saw this artwork anywhere else. So these truly are hidden gems. We've got Blackhawk here on the cover. I mainly buy these comic readers for the front or back cover art. And it was the back cover art in this case that I really wanted when I saw this image. Look at that. We got Black Canary in some serious trouble. And Batman kind of looking like he ain't going to help her, like he's running away. What's that all about? Yeah, when I saw this back cover, I'm like, ooh, I was really, really sold on this book then. So comic readers to me were kind of the internet for comic book fans before there was internet for comic book fans. For those that don't know, this is not a comic book. It's a fanzine that shows you previews and talks about upcoming releases and sometimes does interviews with creators and stuff too. So a lot of times, maybe the first time you ever would see a cover before it was released on the spinner rack would be inside of a comic reader. So lots of history with these. Like to snap. They're not all that valuable price-wise. Some are, but overall, I mean, they're very affordable. But I love them for the front and back cover artwork and the piece of nostalgia that they bring to the community. So that wraps up this Comic Book Editions Volume 123 video today. In the future, I understand that I have another AOK headed my way. And this is from copy 801. And I think he was inspired for this AOK that he's sending from last week's comic book editions video, which was an AOK from the Florida Comic Crawl crew. So I have an idea, at least what character it is. I'm pretty sure I know what character it is. But we'll be unboxing that when it arrives, hopefully, maybe next week. In the meantime, share this channel, share this video with someone that you think might enjoy it. It's a great way to show support to my channel. What was your favorite that I showed today in this video? Which was your favorite cover? Leave me a comment below and let me know. We can dialogue about anything, as your comments are always welcomed, encouraged, and appreciated. Thanks again for making it to the end of this comic book editions video, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care.